The Fan.
If you want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN show, you can make your voice heard on the Brad Sean Bryant KFAN text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Weather forecast over that one as well. Someone once wanted me to, might have been Larry Mondello guy, wanted me to, back when we were doing the Amanda Brand heating and air conditioning weather forecast, wanted me to do one over the ramp of Color My World by Chicago, 57 seconds. I could have read the entire Farmer's Almanac weather forecast over that. How good of a bit would that have been? How wacky and funny. I imagine if I'd done that and you were on the board, the fake laughter would be rolling across the airways. You could have went a lot longer there. So, I mean, you didn't stop on the vocal, so that's fine. There's something about brevity and levity, so that's fine.
There's a part in this song where, like, the rest of the music starts to kick in, like, halfway through the ramp. I guess that's what I was trying to go for.
Is this Joan Jett and the Blackhearts?
I think so. I know the song. I know the tune.
Isn't it labeled?
No.
Well, it has to be.
It's just the title.
Love is a Battlefield?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Oh, yeah.
All right, very cool. Let's do 534, brought to you by Casey's.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, here for good. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hip hooray. Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
The Minnesota Twins lost to the Angels yesterday 4-2. They are back home today against the Giants. Shohei Ohtani struck out 9 Twins in 6 innings pitched. The Twins still kept it close until the bullpen came in. Common, did the Twins lose the game or did the Angels win the game?
You can make an argument either way. I mean, if you beat the bullpen, then you beat the bullpen. So you won the game. But the Twins bullpen also lost it. So that was deep, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I am who I am. So if you're going to ask me which one I think more, what was the Angels' record going to that game? How many times did they come from behind before? My guess is the Angels are just a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans, in a terrible stadium, with terrible concessions, terrible parking, terrible everything about them. So I would say that it was more the Twins lost the game. I'll go with that. The Twins lost it. They blew it. They had it. They had them right where they wanted them, and they let them off the hook, much like the Cardinals did to the Bears all those years ago. Was there a question for
No.
Number 2.
Common, the PGA Championship was won by a non-PGA player, which, to be honest, this has been explained to me 100 times, and I still don't fully understand why that's a possibility. Brooks Koepka, your champion. Common, how much does this hurt the PGA with a live player winning the PGA Championship?
I don't think it hurts it at all. I mean, I had a debate with Eric, the Common Bears fan, over text. He thought he's a big Greg Norman guy. He likes Greg. I've always been a fan of Greg's play. But he thought it was nice that a live player won and kind of won one for live. And I don't look at it as a competition between live and the PGA. They're both living their lives just fine. As a matter of fact, I read the headline for a story, golf.com, that said, I think it was golf.com, Live's not reporting their TV ratings anymore. You know why? Because they ain't getting any TV ratings.
Oh, my gosh.
Live is going to be short-lived, pardon the pun, I think. I don't think it's going to last very long. I mean, I just don't know if they're going to continue to pay money to get the Taylor Gooches of the world to play. They would want the big fish. That's what they would need. They've already added all the premier players I think they're ever going to get. Now, there may be another player or two. If you believe Koepka, he had no interest in it until he thought, with all my injury issues, I might not ever play at the level I need to play at again, so I may as well just get the money when the getting's good, and that's what he signed. I've asked Jaime Diaz, who you might recognize the name from Golf Channel, wrote golf for national publications forever. I mean, he's very highly regarded. We had, I can't remember Green's first name. You called him for our guest, guy from Global Golf Post.
Ron
Green also covers golf like a blanket. They both agreed with my theory. I just like because it makes me sound smart. That obviously the players love the payday from LIV, but none of the players, especially the top players, like the format. Think about it. They drive up. It's 3 days. It's at municipal golf courses. They're blasting music. There's no real coolness to the golf. It's just a big drunken party. And those guys deep down don't love it. That money was too good for them to pass up. So I don't look at it as a victory for LIV. It's because whatever tour Koepka's playing on, he's one of the best players in the world. Everybody knows that. He's won 5 majors. Only 20 other players have won 5 majors in their career. Only 20. And only, I think, 2 or 3 have won more PGA championships than Brooks Koepka. You know, he said this was his most important, the one that meant the most to him because of everything he's gone through the past few years with the injuries and LIV and all that this was the most rewarding for him. It was on Saturday he told post-round interview with Amanda, and I can't remember her last name. And he said something, in fact, I did something at the Masters and I'm never going to do that again. And she tried to get it out of him. What do you mean? And he goes, I'm not giving you my secrets. It's either one of two things. He was either too aggressive in the final round or he was too conservative. And I think it was the conservative. I don't remember the last round of the Masters very well because, Scheffler overtook him and won.
Yeah.
And I think it was because I think sometimes guys will try to sit on a lead. You got a 2, 3, 4 shot lead. You go, I'm just going to sit on this. Well, sitting on a lead can be really dangerous because you get conservative. You're not all in on your shots. And all of a sudden, boom, next thing you know, it's like, wow, my 4-shot lead is now 1. And even yesterday was high drama. Victor Hovland, who's not won a major yet, young kid from Norway.
Yep.
He went toe to toe with him. He went from 1 back to 3 back in a split second. It was like 2-hole stretch. And at that point, I'm thinking, because Koepka's made 3 birdies in a row, and I'm like, well, he's going to lap the field. He's going to put the hammer down. Every time a guy plays like that, you start going, he's the best player in the world. He's never going to get beat again. Because we thought that about Scheffler and thought that about Rahm and thought that about everybody, right? The only guy that was probably true for was Tiger. And but Hovland just hung tough, and there was a 2-shot swing, and he was, going to 16, he was still only 1 back. And what happened to him had happened to the Corey Connors guy the day before. It was uncanny. Mm-hmm. It was Rod Serling Twilight Zone like. If you weren't watching, Corey Connors is in the fairway bunker on the right on 16, hits it thin and buries it into the grass. Now, if he buried it into the dirt and you have an unplayable, that would have been an extra shot. But because this was a plugged lie on allegedly a regularly mowed area, he gets to have the free drop, but still in a terrible spot. I mean, wasted 1 shot already.
Yep.
You've advanced it 10 feet. The same thing happened to Hovland. And he went double, and then I think Koepka birdied, and it was a 4-shot swing right there. And it was over. I turned it off at that point, went back out to do more yard work. But what was your question?
Does this hurt the PGA? How much does it hurt?
I don't think it hurts them at all. No, as a matter of fact, here's what I'll tell you. I don't know how long those contracts are that those guys have. If they're a lifetime, they're in trouble. We can tell right now you don't want to turn on the Saudis.
No.
But I think most of those guys, because then they'll have their money. Got the money, and I can go back and play real golf. So I know. I think it was, everybody's known that Cam Smith, DJ, Bryson DeChambeau, and Brooks Koepka are world-class players, whatever tour they're playing in. And so it was cool. It was high drama. Are you going to ask about the block guy, or do we save that for later? Are we done now?
I've got one more.
Okay,
it's real quick.
We'll squeeze it in this.
Question number 3. It's time now for Common to fill in the blank.
I like this.
I always like diving into. You've got so many good question things. I love diving into the archives. Carmelo, who spent 19 years in the NBA, Carmelo Anthony, announced his retirement today. Common, when people look back at Carmelo's career, they will say blank.
I'll say blank because I don't know enough about him. He was really good, wasn't he? He was
let's see here, the number 9 scorer, number nine in league history.
Oh, he was a great player, I think. I'm not paying as close attention. Yeah, very good player. I didn't really fill in that blank very well.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 questions.
Carmelo,
Well, actually,
right
3
swim.
questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Mama Maria, don't you know
One of the best songs of all time.
Yeah?
So let's break and come back. By the way, 534 was brought to you by Casey's all summer long advantage. Medium fountain drinks and medium frozen drinks for only 89 cents all summer long. And I don't know how long they're going to keep doing this, but their pepperoni pizza special is also still ongoing. You can order a large pepperoni pizza for $16.99 online or in the app. Casey's, here for good.
KFAN, The Fan.
It's the Amana Heating and Air Conditioning weather forecast. We're expecting partly cloudy skies today. The mercury should play tag with 81. Then for tonight, look for the low to be somewhere around 60 degrees. Then tomorrow, sunny, high of 85. Right now in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, we have partly cloudy skies, 78 degrees. Let's go back to 1976. Jay Ferguson, Thunder Island on your home for the hits, FM 100.3, The Fan. I'm back. That, my friend.
So that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Huh. I haven't done the Amana Heating and Air Conditioning weather forecast in about a year or so. Maybe longer. And just like that, it's like riding a bike. You don't have to do the fake life.
It's not.
No, it's fake. I like this email.
Okay.
Well, this is a text message. My guess is, see, people, text messages, they try to get you going, troll you. So your take is reading the Star Trib. Great Twins insight. Esoteric. Or Helen Keller's interpreter. Get it? She was blind. That deaf and dumb and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. No, obviously, if you were listening, the insight was my own insight that was just proven by what happened in 2 of the 3 games that were played over the weekend. So I was just giving you Phil Miller's account so you knew exactly talking about that. It was by the headline, but what Phil wrote basically said the starting staff was brilliant, the bullpen was bad. And my whole point was that's what I brought up to Rosen last week is here's your biggest difference in baseball is if the starting staff is way more important than the bullpen. Well, actually, you could say the bullpen is probably more important because it's really hard to find really good bullpen guys because generally the really good bullpen guys are so good at pitching their starters. And someone said, well, couldn't you make the same argument for shortstop then? I mean, because most kids played short. Most kids, in Little League, your best player played shortstop. Why don't you just get a bunch of shortstops? Well, pitching and playing in the field and batting, that's so different. What you really need is a bunch of Otanis is what you need, guys that can play in the field and pitch, or a bat and pitch. No, that's not, no, I'm sorry, that's not either. It's not even close to the same. Getting a bunch of shortstops doesn't work that way. Then there was this one. I would put this one under compliment. And I'm proud of this. I hang my hat on it. I'm going to say, which horn haven't we used yet? Hold on. Herb Alpert had him on this very radio station. Nobody has Herb Alpert blowing their horn other than me. I kind of hang my hat on this. I think I have no equal. It says, Common, I'm a busy guy. I can only tune in for so long every day. I usually podcast, but on days like this where there's absolutely nothing to talk about, he has that in
wow.
Capitalized, You, my friend, are appointment radio.
Oh.
They also call it lean-in radio, where you have to lean in because, well, hold on, and you lean into the radio to hear what we have to say. That's what we pride ourselves on.
I always love that one.
It's like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing. So we just meander around and find things to talk about. Because I have all sorts of little nonsensical things that I can pull out of my hat like a rabbit. Like I saw this one. Give me 1 second here. Thank you. Have you ever you're watching television and a medicine or a treatment commercial comes on the air, right?
Yeah.
Where it's trying to find it. I saved two of them. And I liked the first one. Here it is. Where they'll have some medicine that will help your malady, whatever that may be. And usually, like if it's on the evening news, it's maladies that you just want nothing to do with. It's like, oh my gosh, that's something like shingles. You know? You just, or they have another one where you'll have some type of growth all over your skin or something, right? Yeah, no, it's bad. And I saw this. I can't find that. I thought I had that one, but I don't. So I'll just go to the most recent one I find. When you get to the fine print of what it is, this one's for eczema, right? This is called RINVOQ Complete Rinvoq. And you'll see the commercial, and they'll tell you this can cure all of your ills. But then when you look at, this one says, Rinvoq is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis, adults with active psoriatic arthritis, adults with active ankylosing spondylitis. That just sounds terrible, doesn't it? What do you got? I've got ankylosing spondylitis. Ankylosing sounds almost Timberwolves or wild-like. An affliction they have. But then they have the important safety information. What is the most important thing you should know about this medication? It may cause serious side effects, including, listen to this, can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious infections have happened while taking this, including tuberculosis and infections caused by bacteria, fungi, or viruses that can spread throughout the body. Some people have died from these infections. This is what it says. Some people have died from these infections. Your healthcare provider should test you for TB before starting and check you closely for signs and symptoms of TB during treatment. Increased risk of death in people 50 years and older who have at least one heart disease. No! It may increase your risk of certain cancers. Lymphoma and other cancers, including skin cancers, can happen. Current or past smokers are at a higher risk of certain cancers, including lymphoma and lung cancer. Follow your HCP's advice about having your skin checked for skin cancer during treatment. Increased risk of major cardiovascular events such as heart attack, stroke, or death in people 50 years of older who have at least one heart disease risk factor. Blood clots, allergic reactions, including rash, trouble breathing, feeling faint or dizzy, or swelling of your lips, tongue, or throat. That might mean you're having an allergic reaction that have been seen in people taking this. Tears in the stomach or intestines. I think I'd rather just take my chances with the arthritis. I mean, because if you start to take this, what if your heart goes right then? It's like, so how'd they die? Well, from arthritis? Well, no, they were taking medication for arthritis, had a heart attack.
His joints felt great, though.
Yeah, terrific. Yeah. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you, except that is that. A controversial Vikings talk, other side of the break.
Oh.
Common Man Program here on the Fan.
FAN, the Fan.
The 2023 Password Invitational Bracket has been announced. The action continues tomorrow when Marnie Gellner and Little B take on Rosie and Carly Zucker starting at 1:30. KFAN.com/watch.
Better.
Okay.
You could have slowed it up a bit. There was because you had about a second and a half to almost 2 seconds before the vocals started. But again, better to not stomp on the vocals at all.
I had more that had to be cut the last second, where you could also, listen to it on the Fan.
Sure.
You could watch it, fan.com, KFAN.com/watch. Starts at 1:30. I called an audible at the last second.
I don't like to repeat myself much. It's one of those. Another thing I hang my hat on is you never hear the same bits, the same phrases, the same takes on any Common Man program. But I'm going to make an exception. Find the song "Make a Move on Me" by Olivia Newton-John. For the audience that's heard this,
Okay.
bear with me. This is for Blake. This is one of the greatest ramp things ever. My first radio station I ever worked for was KQDI in Great Falls, Montana, top 40 station. And this song, "Make a Move on Me," came out in 1981, I think.
You ready?
Yeah, it was 91. No, just wait now.
Sorry.
It's the long wind-up. And so remember, the call letters are KQDI. And you always have to start and end everything you said, especially end. Matter of fact, our rule for a while was you would never use the call letters coming out of a commercial right away. So, because then people will start to associate commercials with your radio station, which is actually a good thing because those advertisers are just offering you great goods and services and all sorts of products at great savings. That's why they're here. That's the most important stuff we broadcast every day, quite frankly. But you were supposed to, after you come out of the commercial break and start a song and talk on the ramp, the last thing you're supposed to do is the call letters. So here's what I created for KQDI with the song. Go ahead and play it. It's going to be a great day in Great Falls today. We're expecting partly cloudy skies. Mercury should play tag with 75. Right now it's 73 degrees. Here's Olivia Newton-John with "Make a Move on Me" right here on KQD.
Oh. I like it. And you hit the post.
Like it. It's legendary.
Of course.
Every disc jockey at the radio station said, I got to be able, let me sample that. Of course, we didn't call it sampling back then. We called it stealing. Let me steal that. Would you mind if I use it? I go, no, knock yourself out. Because that's your whole life as a disc jockey, is talking on the ramp of a record. All your bits. Because there'll be stations where you're not allowed to stop them. This station I worked at, you do not stop the music ever, never stop it. Obviously, except for commercial breaks. Mm-hmm. You may think you're really wacky and funny. You got a great bit you want to do. No, you don't stop the music for your wacky bits. Just keep playing the music. So everything had to be done on a ramp. So if you had something interesting to say or what you thought was interesting or funny, you just loved those 30-second ramps, But most of them, I would say the average ramp for a song is 12 seconds, right? Yeah. 10, 12, 15 seconds is about the longest you're going to get. So you had to get in and get out pretty darn quick. I don't know if this is really controversial. Vikings news, and it really isn't. It's Andrew Kramer is out at Winter Park today. The Vikings started 11 on 11 practices today. 11 on 11. And as he writes, by the way, that I'm reading from the newspaper again for the segment. Amid a defensive overhaul, where position battles at cornerback and interior line are among those to watch this summer. They say cornerback, interior defensive line, dime, corner, or safety. How about this? We'll make it like Jeopardy. Here are the categories, Brett Blakemore. Tell me which one you'd like to select. We have cornerbacks,
Okay.
interior defensive line, dime, corner, or safety, rotational edge rusher, or gunner and punt returner. You have the board.
Oh.
You're in control of the board.
I'm going to go with cornerbacks for 2.
Yeah, I would think, I think we need 2. I think we need 3 or 4, to be honest with you. Go ahead. Thank you. Half second. Fake laugh. Vikings retained just 2 corners, Booth Jr. and Evans, who played defensive snaps of last year's 31st ranked pass defense. Injuries limited how much both could contribute. They're part of what O'Connell has called a young nucleus in the secondary, along with safety Lewis Seen and now third-round cornerback. And I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name, but Blackman is the last name. Newcomer Joejuan Williams, a former Patriots corner, could join them in competing for open spots. The Vikings need an outside CB to start opposite Brian Murphy Jr., signed in free agency. The Vikings also need a third corner to take Murphy's outside spot when he slides into the slot during nickel packages. I guess what they're trying to say here is they're in a lot of trouble with the secondary. They really have nothing settled as of yet. And that's okay. In some cases, they didn't have a lot of choices. I don't know if P squared, double P. And maybe, I don't know if you pay attention to the Vikings at all. So maybe you can't answer this because, again, my memory is very short. And did he leave? I know he left for a 2-year deal for some pretty good money. Was it a situation where he wanted to leave too? That it wasn't just the money. It's just like, yeah, I'm done here. It's this. I don't like where this is going, where this has been. Or did the Vikings also think, you added quite a bit to us, but you know what? It's just like we got to get young. We don't want old guys on the team anymore because he served a purpose. He had a lot of talent. Guys, if you remember, the stories were, unless I'm really confusing my players and my units and my teams, and I've done that before. Wasn't he the guy that was having all the defensive backs over for like dinner and film watching and all that? He was really taking a hands-on approach and guiding these guys. So to me, that's a loss. It just is. And then who else did we lose in the secondary?
Trying to think. Well, it's not really the secondary. Kendricks is gone.
Well, Kendricks is gone. Yeah, that's the linebacker situation. But we're talking about just in the cornerback position. I thought we lost another, but maybe not. I could have swore we did. But my point is,
Duke Shelley's gone.
Yeah, well, Duke Shelley's one. Yeah, because I remember he got some high marks. I mean, he wasn't shut down Deion Sanders like, but he was good. He contributed to the club. He made some plays for us. So, obviously the secondary needed to be overhauled. We've got some free agents. We Brian Murphy Jr., he's going to start. How good he is, I don't know. Just because you've started somewhere else, if you're available, sometimes you wonder, why is he available? Has he just outlived his usefulness? Has that team developed better players? Does it cost too much money? There's a lot that still hasn't been decided. Lewis Seen is not a cornerback, but he's listed in here. And that's, one thing we've heard out of Winter Park. And it reminds me of what the Twins have often been criticized for not making any significant trade deadline day deals, right? Mm-hmm. And what a lot of the pull-out pocket protectors will point to, like, let's say, for instance, is Maeda back on the IL? I think he is. I think Maeda's arm still isn't good. So let's say he's ready to come back sometime in near trade deadline day, a week or two after, right? People go, that's just like making a trade. It's the exact same thing because he wasn't here and now he is. Well, no, he was here. Yeah, but he wasn't playing, so it's like a trade. Well, I guess I guess in twisted logic, you could say that. But that's not going out and getting somebody fresh and new and fun and exciting, hip now, with it wild, young, wild, and free. It could serve a purpose. It could certainly help, but that's what we're hearing about what the Wilf Wallet watchers are saying about both Booth, who missed, I think, significant time because of injuries last year, and Louis Sean was out after, wasn't he hurt in the overseas game like
yeah,
week 3?
Mm-hmm.
Week 2 or 3, and then he was out for the rest of the year. And Booth, was he out all year? Does it say there how much he played? Because I don't think he played a lot. He definitely was injured. May have been, I don't know, he may have been on injured reserve. I don't recall. But my point is, they look to those two guys and say, look at that. They weren't even with us last year. It's like 2 extra draft. Well, no, it's not like 2 extra draft picks. You can make that twisted that logic, that argument that, because they didn't play last year, they're almost like having 2 fresh or didn't play significant minutes. Mm-hmm. It's almost like having 2. And okay, I sort of buy into that. But that doesn't necessarily mean they are the answer to what troubles us. In other words, well, for instance, let's say both Sean and Booth end up being busts, or let's even say just rotational type players. They serve a purpose, but then that's actually worse, because you would have figured that out last year probably if they wouldn't have been hurt. And then maybe your draft picks you use this year, you would have used for secondary people. But you didn't yet because you're still not sure if these guys can contribute to not, because they were injured all season long. So still plenty of question marks. And when you look at the defense, and then they also have the other, interior defensive line, because Tomlinson's gone. They couldn't afford to sign him. So they went in a different direction. They got the they added Dean Lowry. Mm-hmm. And then they also got, for edge rusher, did they get the Davenport character? I think rotational edge rusher, because with Smith gone, it's Daniil Hunter and Marcus Davenport, ex-Saint. They're paying him $2 million. I think he'll be fine, I would think. I mean, again, will he be as good as Zadarius? Zadarius had a great first half of the year, a poor second half of the year. So what will we expect from Davenport? Can he give us close to what Zadarius did in the first half of last year, or closer to what Zadarius gave us into the second half? If you're a Viking fan, you better hope it's the former rather than the latter. I don't know. With the interior defensive line, what do you know about Dean Lowry? He played for your club.
He did,
right?
For a while.
Good, bad, and different?
I'd say, I know PA loves him.
Of course he does.
Yes, why wouldn't he?
If the Vikings cut him at camp, they'd say, I never really thought much of him. Of course he loves him. The Vikings, of course he's going to. And maybe he really does. I don't know. I'm having fun with PA.
I don't think he's a guy that jumps off the page, and completely, whoa, look at that guy on the line. But he's really solid, and he does his piece. He was never really the headline guy in Green Bay. There was the Smith brothers for a time, Kenny Clark up the middle, and Dean Lowry did his piece, and he was good.
All right.
But I wouldn't say he's like the greatest thing of all time. But he's definitely a solid piece to have. So I would be happy if I was a Vikings fan about that.
And then you got dime, corner, safety. You can, and here's what I'll say, I guess, is what this is all leading to is it doesn't appear that unless one of the draft picks, especially Sean or Booth, unless they really make big impacts early, I don't look at anybody in the secondary, certainly of the guy that I think he played for the Patriots. He's okay, and maybe he's slightly above average. That's all fine and good. But you don't look at it as anybody where you go, whoa, where'd we get him? And, part of that was because we didn't know, and we still don't. Is Cook still with the club? Is he gone
As of
yet?
right now,
Okay.
Yes.
And then we still had Zadarius, and there were salary cap issues. We weren't sure, part of that salary cap trimming started with your favorite local Vikings wide receiver. And we're talking to Adam Thielen, who is from Albert Lee, played his college ball at Normandale Community and turned into a star. But, the number one reason they had to let him go was he was making too much money. If I'm not mistaken, if they would have kept him on without renegotiating his deal, he was destined to make like $18, $19, $20 million. He's not an $18, $19, $20 million wide receiver anymore. If he ever really was, there was a time he was probably our number one wideout. But, so there were salary cap ramifications as far as going out and getting top name. And I don't even know what free agents were, defensive free agents, especially in the secondary. I don't know. That's another reason why we let linebacker guy go. Eddie Kendricks. No. Who's Eddie? Eddie Kendricks is a singer.
Eric
Kendricks. Look up Eddie Kendricks.
Okay.
Google Eddie Kendricks. He was a singer. Played with 4 tops, 4 seasons. 4 something or other. Didn't he?
How about the Temptations?
The Temps. I think most of the Vikings secondary are temps. They're just temporary. They're chairs is what they are. So we've heard a lot about Ed Donatel. He was just awful at his job. The game at Pat, whatever he once knew, whatever his strengths were now become weaknesses and woeful shortcomings and inadequacies, because it seemed as though most fans, maybe a lot of media people, they wanted to blame Eddie Donatel for the woeful shortcomings and inadequacies, and there were many in this defense. Then there were those of us with the esoteric approach that said, who's the greatest defensive coordinator of all time? Google greatest defensive coordinators all time NFL. Give me a name. It'll help with the bit.
Marvin Lewis.
You could have had Marvin Lewis coaching the personnel the Vikings had, and I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. Now, there are Viking fans out there that think it would. We got the emails, the phone calls, the talkbacks, Common at booth@kfan.com. Also, the message boards that you see, the comment boards that you see in the fish wraps, was all Ed Donatel. If Ed Donatel wasn't there, Ed Donatel doesn't blitz. He doesn't do that. He does, and I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to. There's a word I'm looking for. I'll just say I'm not trying to let Ed Donatel escape all blame. It certainly could have been something he had to do. I don't think it was Ed Donatel. It was more likely the personnel. It wasn't Ed Donatel. It was more likely the personnel. That's what I believe. And so the trick is we've gotten rid of some of that personnel. I don't know if we've made an improvement. I don't think the linebacking core is as good. I know we love Brian Asamoah. We've heard a lot about him. I think losing Eddie Kendricks is a bigger deal than people think. I really, truly do. We'll see. But everybody seems to be banking on this B-flow, Brian Flores. We call him, those of us that are tight.
Yeah.
Those of us that consider ourselves extended family members don't call him Brian Flores. We call him B-flow. Everybody seems to suggest, no, B-flow is as good a defensive mind as there is out there. It might not be Marvin Lewis, but he's close. And he's got this aggressive defense. And he needs his personnel to be able to do multiple things. Got to be able to play high safety, low safety, mid safety. Got to be able to left corner, right corner, come up in run coverage, maybe even turn into a middle linebacker. Okay, that's great. That's a great system if it works, but you got to also have to have the personnel that can pull those things off. And oftentimes somebody that's kind of good at 3 or 4 different things means they're not really good at one special thing. And so to me though, it's going to, all right, Ed, to me, the pressure is not strictly, but most on B-Flow. Because we were told Ed Donatel was terrible, and if we didn't have Ed Donatel, we may have been able to do something in the postseason. Well, okay, we'll find out now. We got some new personnel, some old personnel, a little mix and blend. Let's see how good B-Flow's system really is. We'll see what Mark Rosen thinks about B-Flow's system. He'll be joining us here just a little bit before 2 o'clock. It's Brett Blakemore and the Common Man, soon to be joined by Mark Rosen, right here on we call KQD. Actually, KFAN.